Snipers, you have to see what's happening to the Bitcoin price right now. As Michael Saylor and Kathy Woods are on a panel right now preaching hopium here at the Bitcoin conference in Miami, but I had to get out this emergency update to talk about what's happening to the Bitcoin price. Smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm if you support this content. I'll try my best to get Kathy Woods or Michael Saylor on our channel as I get back to the media room. But let's go straight into the charts and talk about what's happening to Bitcoin, because we did get a bearish continuation daily candle yesterday, which makes me a little bit more confident that we're going to come down to test this major support at 42,000 US dollars, where we have the 100-day and 50-day moving average starting to converge. Now, once we get down to this level, we have to hold 42,000, because if we do not, it opens up the door to the range with a support of 38,000. Now, regardless of if Bitcoin decides to do either one of these scenarios, we have to monitor the revolving parts so that we can stay confident in the medium term that Bitcoin is in the process of reversing and getting back to 50,000 US dollars and potentially higher levels, because obviously at this point we have slowed down. And there's a reason for this. For those that tuned into our channel yesterday, we talked about the DXY pushing up slightly after the US announced more sanctions on Russia, which is obviously strengthening the US dollar. But in the macro here on the Snipers channel, we're not worried about that, because we know in the macro trend, the DXY is ready to form another high. And when that happens, just like what happened in 2017, it started a bull market for the cryptocurrency market, which ended in 2018, and the same thing happened in 2020. The DXY topped out, another bull market until 2021. And right now the DXY is approaching that major resistance. So I'm not worried about the revolving parts right now, because everything is looking in our favor. The DXY potentially gonna come up just a little bit higher, and that is the reason we have to address the downside scenario right now. And if we do push up, we know this area above 100 is going to act as a major resistance for the US dollar. And I do want to stay on this chart, because I want you to realize this. I was explaining this to somebody yesterday at the conference. In 2020, the DXY, in my opinion, and you could agree or disagree, saw the peak amount of fear. We saw almost a capitulation in every asset in the market, but we still weren't able to get the dollar stronger than the peak from 2018. And so that tells me, unless there's an apocalypse, an asteroid hits Earth, what more fear could we bring to bring the dollar even further up from the peak of 2020? It is obviously in a downtrend. It's obviously not showing strength in the macro by forming these lower highs. And so we're expecting a lower high to come very soon. And when that time comes, as it has happened twice in the past, Bitcoin has rallied into price discovery and has seen a bull market initiate because of the DXY reaching a resistance and starting to wane off and show weakness. And so we're expecting that to happen very soon. I'm not too worried about any of the other revolving parts like the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, which is giving us some indicators about the market sentiment. If it's above this major level here, right where the monthly open is at 72,000 Satoshis, it's clear that there's confidence in the cryptocurrency market, and we're just seeing a garden variety pullback, because we did see an exuberant rally already for the overall market, and that tells us that this is just healthy market behavior to come down and test the previous resistance as support, which we've yet to even test. So we'll continue to monitor that. And then the S&P 500, of course, still playing inside of the daily candle range from yesterday, so we can't really talk much about it. But what we're really monitoring this week is whether we stay above this 50-week moving average, which we're currently testing. If we cross below it, that starts to bring more of a downside potential for Bitcoin in the immediate short term. But because we've rallied, I want to be very clear, very strong over the last few weeks. You have to understand, literally 30 days ago, Bitcoin was sitting at $38,000. It's still higher than it was 30 days ago. So for anyone that entered positions in 30 days ago, you are still in profit. There's obviously a strong rally, and that's despite the downside we've seen recently. Anything that goes up like that, for a healthy trend to mature and continue in the macro, there needs to be corrections along the way, and that's what we're seeing right now. I want to be very clear. The DXY has very limited upside at this point. So when it comes to Bitcoin's price being a fair value right now, I would say that it's certainly a time that institutions are continuing to dollar cost average. MicroStrategy just now recently purchasing Bitcoin. And by the way, remember the Luna Foundation we've been monitoring, building up their Bitcoin reserves? for the UST stablecoin and the Terra ecosystem, well, they just also purchased over $250 million worth of Bitcoin. That was trending Bitcoin up over the last few weeks, especially with them actually making those purchases. Along those days, we saw Bitcoin continuously put buyer pressure into the order books, and that's actually what initiated the recent rally, at least what it seems like has happened, because when they stopped purchasing, as you guys remembered, Bitcoin started to move sideways. So things are looking good still. I wouldn't be concerned unless the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart starts to show weakness. The S&P 500 continues to show weakness. We'll address that, but Bitcoin has been stronger than S&P 500, so as long as it's nothing that's decisive, Bitcoin can still outperform. And then of course the DXY we're monitoring when we're planning to find that resistance. Maybe we see a little bit more of some narratives come out to push it further up, to finally see that peak amount of exuberance. Russia defaulting on their debt, who knows? I mean, those sanctions that the US recently imposed prevents Russia from using US dollars outside of their reserves. So they're being forced to either use their reserves of US dollars or not pay and default on their debt. And so that obviously strengthens the US dollar. But now that that's already been announced, I'm sure the algos have priced it in, the institutions are aware of this, and as always, they manipulate price with narratives so that they can get the best possible position. And with that, thank you all for tuning into the Snipers channel today. I appreciate each and every one of you tuned into the channel. I'm gonna go back to that media room, as I believe Cathie Woods and Michael Saylor are heading there now as they just finished their talk. And if you're at Bitcoin Miami, come and say hi. And if something happens, Bitcoin breaching below 42,000, I'll get an emergency update out. And if we can get above 44,800, let me wrap it up with this, Snipers. That's going to be that confirmation we need that we're ready to continue further up. 44,800 being the major resistance of the current range that we're in, and 42,000 being the major support of the range that we're in. All revolving parts are calm and still moving to our favor on the bullish end, Snipers. And with that, thank you all for tuning in today. Smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Let's hit 100,000 Snipers on this channel. Already over 50,000. Couldn't do this without you. Much love from Miami, Florida. Until next time, Snipers out.